a child. Now we just have the biggest ones in the world.
This definitely would have to be about every man's fantasy for a toy. The only thing it really doesn't come with is missile launchers. And unfortunately, they won't let us put them on it.
Front-end loaders have been around for a while. The first were built in the 1930s. By 1952, they could lift 10 tons. But nothing in the past ever approached the gargantuan size of the machines available today.
I've been designing these pieces of equipment for about 10 years now, and I've yet to get over just the sheer size of these machines. It's just an awesome piece of equipment, and what it can do, what it can pick up, it's amazing. You never get over how big these machines are.
Letourneau makes the biggest front loader of them all. Can't picture this Goliath? Think of a 2-story building with big teeth and an urge to dig.
Our front-end loaders are the biggest front-end loaders in the world. They can lift more dirt, move it faster, quicker than anything else on the planet.
The Letourneau is made at a plant in Longview, Texas, where people definitely enjoy what they do.
We dream these things up, put it on paper, and then follow the design through the shop. We have a huge team for creating these monster machines.
It takes 16 weeks to build one of these loaders. At this factory filled with its own monster machines, every loader is built from scratch. Starting at the electric arc furnace where the raw steel is melted.
After a steel ingot is poured, these large tongs will move them to the rolling mill where you roll it out flat like cookie dough. We have these large magnets that literally come and lift these pieces of plate with magnetic forces and move them around the yard.
Nothing about building this massive machine is easy. Monster-sized parts require monster-sized steel, which has to be cut, moved, and shaped with monster-sized tools.
It takes big machines to build big machines. You have to have stuff to handle it, to keep someone from getting hurt, also to keep tearing up the inside of the plant. You got to have big machines to handle big machines.
Each of the 4 tires on a giant loader weighs 7.5 tons. That's 30 tons of rubber on a single machine. If you want to change a tire, you'll need a forklift and crane.
The forklifts that we have here are far bigger than anything that you could buy on the open market. Things that we could purchase, they're just too small to build a big machine like this.
It takes 2 of these 150,000-pound capacity cranes to lift the equipment up onto stands. Once we get the equipment high enough on stands, we move the tires in. The driver assembly goes in first. We move that onto the axles, and then once that's into the axles, the tires mount next.
People that's not around large machines have a hard time realizing what a machine with 13-foot tires on it looks like. You just imagine a 6-foot man standing beside these tires, and he's got 7 foot of tires above his head.
Fully attired, loaders are mean, lean, earth-moving machines, built to take as much abuse as they dish out.
A loader has to be a very strong piece of equipment. A loader's life is every 40 seconds you're running into a brick wall. You're picking up 50 tons, you're dumping it into a truck, and then you turn around and you run into that brick wall so you can pick up another 50 tons. And this is 7 days a week, day in, day out.
Powering these wrecking machines are engines pumping more ponies than the Kentucky Derby. 2,000 horsepower electric motors that can pound, shunt, dig, and destroy anything in their path.
We have enough electric power on this machine to power a small city. We feed that power into a wheel motor on each corner of the machine where it's 4-wheel drive. These wheel motors are 500 horsepower. It's like having a NASCAR engine on each tire of this machine.
And this machine is more than just muscle. The loader comes fully equipped with a sophisticated onboard computer, a synthesis of steel, rubber, and silicon chips.
It's got more processing power than you find in your average desktop because it has 17 different microprocessors on it running all the time to keep it going.
In the old days, loaders were driven with massive steering wheels and complex hydraulic levers. I might have to change direction close to 500 times a day, which meant a lot of sweat for the man in the cab. By comparison, the new loaders are easy to handle. They're controlled with 2 joysticks, one for the steering and one for the bucket. Put this giant in gear and step on the gas, and you'll find out it's nothing short of a joyride.
It's somewhat of a cross between a roller coaster and a go-kart. It's got a lot of acceleration, and it gives you a little bit of a rocking ride as you're rolling around, so it's kind of fun that way. You have to strap yourself in. But it gives you a tremendous sense of power, too, because it's just a huge machine.
The front-end loader is the complete monster mining package.
For me, the coolest part is when you actually get to play with it. When we first started playing with this loader on the test track, we had to watch out because we almost pushed through our dirt pile. It's got a lot of power, a lot of aggressiveness to it. It just really likes to dig holes.
I think every little kid that played in a sandbox has got to be envious of what we do here. We have the biggest sandbox and the biggest toys on the block.
Who said grown-ups don't know how to have fun?
This TLC program is sponsored in part by Mercedes-Benz, located on the
With each scoop. But what's really mind-blowing is the way this beast gets to work. It walks. It's called the walking dragline, and it's one of the most unusual monster machines on Earth. A dragline doesn't rely on rims and rubber to make a move. No, this big fella's got feet. Quite a feat when you factor in the dragline weighs 12 million pounds. The stomping ground for this monster? Open pit coal mines. And the dragline's job? To give the Earth a facial by removing the topsoil to reveal that precious commodity hidden below, we know as coal. In certain geologic regions, coal seams can be found a mere 100 to 200 feet below the surface. Using a massive bucket, this Bigfoot scoops up vast quantities of dirt. With a reach about the length of a city block, the dragline can shift 200 tons of material 100 yards in a blistering 60 seconds, using a boom to drop it where the coal has already been mined. Working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, the dragline is one of the cheapest and most effective ways to cash in on the coal. At just 35 cents per cubic yard of material moved, it's 50% cheaper than other methods. And forget about an army of helmet-clad miners. It takes only 2 men to tame this beast. Draglines have been around since the early 1900s. In addition to mining, they've been used to dig canals and harbors all around the world. The largest ever built, nicknamed Big Muskie, could hold an entire marching band in its colossal bucket. While there's no doubt this machine is enormous, what really sets the dragline apart is its footloose and fancy-free moves.
The first time I saw a large walking dragline, I was about 10 years old, and I was so impressed with that machine that I've been hooked on them ever since. And the fact that this machine slides along the ground instead of using wheels or crawler tracks, I thought was really neat.
And when it's time to take a hike, the dragline drops 2 enormous shoes, gets to its feet, and thrusts itself backwards.
I guess one thing that people ask about, that how does it actually walk? If you can imagine that you're sitting in an armchair and these are your shoes, and this is the point of rotation. You just bring this down till it hits the arm of the chair, and then lift yourself up and scoop backwards. So it does that about every 20 seconds, and it always goes backwards, away from the boom.
A dragline needs feet to step lightly because it's working on shaky ground.
The whole objective is to decrease the ground pressure under these huge machines. In the case of a large shovel, which walks on tracks, the tracks exert a very high ground pressure. But a walking dragline sits on a large circular tub, which is almost the width of the whole machine. That is the lowest ground pressure you can possibly obtain. When the shoes come down on the ground, they're also very large in area and also reduce the ground pressure. And this allows the dragline to walk on top of the pit over relatively soft ground without getting stuck.
This bad boy also takes the pressure off the owner's wallet.
It's much cheaper to build a walking dragline than to build the crawler tracks. With all their separate drive motors, the walking dragline simply has two shoes that work in a circular motion, and the tub itself has no power to it. It's a very simple and cheap way of moving a big machine.
Simple and cheap is relative, though. If you want a dragline of your own, take a number and prepare to wait. Because every one of these monsters is custom built.
If someone decides to invest in a dragline, it's sometimes 8 or 10 years or more before they're actually in the mining business. A dragline of this size will cost around $50 million.
Order this toy and it arrives on 150 train cars. And it definitely requires assembly. Total time to complete this Pandora's box of a brute is a mind-boggling, bolt-tightening, nut-finding full 24 months. Completion comes with the installation of the mighty boom, a perilous proposition.
The lifting of a boom for a drag line is, I'd say it's a little bit touchy. It's kind of a tense moment. You know, you're talking about a boom that weighs hundreds and hundreds of tons that may be up to 400 feet long out there. And it's built laying on cribbing on the ground and has to be raised and pinned into its final position.
With the boom in place, assembly is complete, and the dragline is ready to roll up its sleeves and dig in. Today's modern draglines are sights to behold. They have their own kitchens, dining rooms, even lockers. The cab is filled with electronics. Closed-circuit TVs mean one man can watch the whole machine while he works.
Yeah, okay, you're clear to swing.
The dragline has enabled open-pit miners to stay competitive in this costly business. Since World War II, the price of coal has dropped drastically, while mine operators have had to dig ever deeper in their pockets. But to ensure that this monster is not a big drag on the bottom line, it'll keep churning at a mine until the last lump of coal has been cleared. It's a marriage of machine and materials that can last as long as 40 years, ensuring the company's investment will see a return. Your big Chevys. Here are the real monster trucks.
It's like driving a house down the road. You know, it's a house on wheels, really.
Imagine going up on a second-story house, sitting right there at the window, and imagining that house moving. Yes, it's just about like that.
Getting behind the wheel of this king cab means you're in for some exercise. They are the meanest monster dump trucks to ever put four on the floor. And boy, do they haul. These Titanic Tonka toys fill their time gorging on a diet of coal, dirt, rocks, and ore. With a bed of this behemoth fully loaded, it can weigh a hefty 500 tons. That's more than the weight of a 747. No two ways about it. These trucks are big.
Compare them to an average-size automobile. I mean, you could run over a car or an average-size automobile or pickup with one and not even know that you have done it, literally. I mean, I've known of cases where that's happened.
The 2,700 horsepower engine alone is bigger than an average car and packs more punch than a locomotive. With a 1,200-gallon fuel tank, fill her up takes on a whole new meaning. If you want fuel economy, buy a compact. But if you're hanging with the big guys, climb aboard and have your cash card ready, because a gallon of diesel gets you about 1,000 feet down the track. That's less than 1 mile per gallon. Which means in an hour, this beast will guzzle about 45 gallons of fuel. The tires alone are higher and weigh more than an average pickup truck, standing a staggering 13 feet high and weighing 4 tons. We're talking some serious rubber here.
I always like to compare the size of those tires, or a good way to compare the size of the truck is next time you're driving down the highway and you're driving past a big tractor trailer with the van, look up at that van, and that van trailer has to be under 13 feet high. Well, the tires on those trucks are as high as that whole tractor trailer is. When you're going under a bridge overpass on an interstate, those overpasses aren't too much higher than just the tires on one of those big off-highway trucks.
The tires are one of the biggest maintenance concerns. Get a flat on this truck and you've got a real problem. Tires have to be changed about every 35,000 miles at a cost of nearly $25,000 per tire. And it takes big tools to change a big tire. 100-ton air jacks raise the truck off the ground. Instead of 5 lugs as on your average car, these dumpers have 52, and a rim that stands over 5 feet high. Moving the tires requires giant tire handlers to haul away the old tire and install a new one. But even in this realm of the giants, there's big, and then there's real big. And the biggest of them all is the Caterpillar 797. Home for 3 of these bad boys is the Phelps Dodge Morenci mine in Arizona, one of the largest copper mines in the world, and a fitting locale for the Caterpillar. This mine itself is the size of a small city. It covers an area of 15 square miles. There are 95 monster dump trucks of varying sizes at work here. And at any one time, 65 of them are on the move, hauling dirt 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. These mammoth trucks were designed because of a simple fact of mining life. The more ore you move, and the faster you move it, the more money you'll make. Translation, in this business, bigger is better. In the 1950s, an average dump truck could haul a measly 20 tons. By the 70s, that number shot up to 150. Today, the 797 can hold and haul 380 tons. When the Morenci Mines fleet is in full flow, these vast vehicles can haul mountains of material. 780,000 tons a day, to be exact. That's enough dirt to bury a pyramid. But even these megatrucks can go missing in a mine as big as Morenci's. So these beasts turn to satellites and the global positioning system, known as GPS, to keep them abreast of the big picture.
We have a computerized dispatch system that tells every truck what he's loaded with, where he needs to go after he dumps out. All of our trucks have GPS on them, so we can keep track of where the trucks are and determine where they need to be.
And they actually get radio communication from the satellites. We copy that same information to our base stations, and then we get triangulation with our software and whatnot. And we can actually have fixed positions in real time with all of our equipment on the property.
Clay Maynor has been driving these towering trucks for 8 years.
My first experience on a haul truck, the first 5 minutes was an experience. I did almost 360 within 5 minutes the first time I was behind the wheel.
But now Clay is an experienced driver. He knows when you take a truck for a spin, you keep your mind on the job and your eyes on the horizon.
I kind of put myself in the same position as an airline pilot. I judge myself 2 to 3 miles ahead. I always constantly look down the road to see what's coming up or what type of obstruction I've got coming up. So I prepare quite a ways ahead.
The cab is comfortable like a family sedan, but that's where the similarities end.
There's a lot to go on in that cab when you're driving. When you're backing up to an electric shovel, you have to do many things. You have to constantly watch both sides on the mirrors, make sure that you're not going to run over anything. Use your right hand to do the shifting, and the left hand does mainly the turning. It's real complicated in the cab.
And there's also another complication to consider.
I think the hardest part of it is this last year we've gone left-hand traffic.
Deborah Walden is a third-generation miner who kissed her boring office job goodbye for a chance to kick her career into high gear and play with the big boys who drive the big toys. Safety is always on her mind.
Just making sure that we're paying attention constantly to what's going on. Somebody coming up on the wrong side of the road or missing a corner, or there's always the potential for disaster.
Driving on the left lets the driver look down to see the edge of the road. It also means if there's a head-on collision, which has happened, the driver is on the outside, where he's on the outer edge of the wreckage and has a chance of walking away. Of course, it takes a big shovel to fill a big truck. And this is where the P&H 4100 comes in. With a bucket as big as a garage, and it booms 6 stories tall. This brute means business. Resting on tracks 10 feet high and 45 feet long, the P&H 4100 uses a row of teeth, each 2 feet long, to take super-sized bites out of the scenery. And giving the big digger the jolt needed to muscle Mother Earth are giant electric motors. But working hard makes this fellow hungry. In one day, the P&H 4100 goes through more electricity than 300 households combined. This super scooper has been designed so it only needs one man to run it, perched 3 stories high with a bird's eye view of all the action below. And when this shovel hits the soil, you better hold on, because your dump truck's just 3 scoops away from being full.
the size of our trucks and the size of our shovels really grew together. As we developed bigger trucks, we needed something that we could load them faster. Once we got the larger shovel, we were able to justify a larger truck.
Like the saying goes, it ain't the size of the obstacle, it's how you design a machine to move it.
Whenever we think we've reached an obstacle where we can't make a bigger truck, we make a bigger truck. It used to be the size of the tires that we could make and how much tonnage you could put on a tire and how much it could support was our limiting factor. So we redesigned and changed the rules on building tires so that we can build a bigger truck.
Well, you'll probably see a 500 or 600 ton truck within several years. Just depends on how bad somebody wants one.
Blessed with size, strength, and stamina, this massive beast was designed for one job: to chew up the earth. You'll find it working away at the Mahoning Valley coal mine near Cadiz, Ohio. The gargantuan digger is a stripping shovel and weighs in at 14 million pounds. It likes to tear up and chow down on the countryside 160 tons at a time. It is quaintly named the Silver Spade. The Silver Spade stands 22 stories tall and is wider than a 5-lane road. Just one load of dirt from its cavernous bucket can bury a large house. Ask to see the Silver Spade smile, and it'll show a mouth crammed with teeth weighing 800 pounds apiece. It's a nightmarish vision that shaped Mine Superintendent Les DeLoma's childhood.
When I was a little boy, I can remember coming in to the mining area with my dad, and I was actually afraid. The machine was so big, and it was at night, and I was scared. It was like a big monster that come out of nowhere. You're driving down the road, and here's this mammoth machine sticking up out of the ground, 220 feet high. It's an awesome sight.
This hungry giant uses enough juice each day to service a town of 12,000 people. Deep within the belly of the beast is a room that houses the life source of this monster. Here, powerful motors control thick steel cables that direct the digging outside. The four 775-foot-long, 3-inch thick cables are connected to the hoist drum that lifts the spade's colossal bucket. These cables bear the weight of 160 tons of dirt, plus the 200-ton bucket every time they pick up a load. Another drum spins giant cables that press the bucket into the dirt wall as it's raised. Without the pressure provided by these lines, the bucket would skip along the dirt face. Instead, it has enough power to cut into a solid wall of earth and make rocks explode. Over the years, there's been a battle to be the biggest. Shovels named Big Brutus and the Captain reared up in surface mines across the U.S. All of these giants were built to do the same job, to remove the dirt that covers the coal seam. But these big men on campus don't believe in taking small bites. When they pull up to the table, it's for a feast of 60,000 tons of dirt a day. They leave the coal for the little guys to chew over. Stripping shovels are the heart and soul of a surface coal mine. Nothing else happens until they've done their job.
It's the key. It has to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If we would have a mechanical or electrical failure, we would work on this machine to make the repairs 24 hours, 7 days a week. Since it uncovers the product that we're selling,
it takes 4 guys to run a shovel like the Silver Spade. One has to work up high to keep things greased and to look out for problems. Another stays down low, doing the same thing. The other works a bulldozer at the base, keeping dirt off the crawlers. But the 4th guy has all the fun. He gets to sit in the operator's cab 6 stories above and operate the whole massive machine. Joe Cimini has been doing it since 1970.
I love what I do. My wife says I'm married to the job. I see more of the shovel than I do of her. So, I always wanted to be an equipment operator. I started out running the rubber tire dozer and worked my way up to oiler, and then finally got the operator's job.
After 30 years of practice, hoisting 160 tons of dirt is second nature to Joe.
I'm ready to dump, and she dumps. We average probably about 1,000 passes per day, about 105 cubic yards per bucket.
So that Joe can maneuver this monster through the mine's rough terrain, the Spade has 8 gargantuan crawlers. They stand 8 feet tall and 40 feet long. Each has 33 separate shoes called pads. Each one of those pads weighs 2,000 pounds. That's almost as much as a small car.
These machines are very large because the job they do is really colossal. When you think of the depth that they dig, upwards of a 10-story building in one pass, the volume of earth that they move has to be done with something large.
A stripping shovel works at the bottom of the pit, where it sits on top of the coal seam. And that can create a problem as it digs itself into one heck of a hole, literally. The trick to getting out? A carefully laid plan to keep the machine on solid ground while it climbs out of the pit, which may be 100 feet deep. Hit a soft spot, and it could sink, or even worse, take a tumble. That was the case in 1983 when a stripping shovel called Gibraltar was moved to a new pit in Madisonville, Kentucky. It got off solid ground and onto soft earth. To everyone's horror, it actually tipped over. No one was hurt, but the Gibraltar's days of digging were over. The massive digger had to be dismantled and sold for scrap. The trip usually goes much better than that. When a stripping shovel moves, it can often be a journey several miles long. Sometimes that means crossing a highway. Always a difficult task.
Because of the tremendous weight of the machines involved, they have to protect the road. They put in a great big layer of dirt and rock with large scrapers and dozers. And then they frequently lay down these great big mats made out of 12 by 12 or larger timbers.
But once it gets settled, a stripping shovel towers over the landscape. Like a giant dinosaur feasting on the countryside. But like the beast it resembles, this machine is fast becoming extinct.
The future for these big stripping shovels is very bleak. Where they can be used, they are the best machine for the job, but the focus of the coal mining now in the US, the coal seams are very thick and the cover is shallow, and that lends itself to the use of smaller shovels. As a result, the large stripping shovels are not used as much as they used to be, so they're a dying breed.
Mines can now operate several smaller shovels for the price of one Silver Spade. At one time, over 500 stripping shovels operated in the U.S. By 1995, that number had dropped to just 5. Today, the Silver Spade is the last of the giants.
I'm third generation coal miner. The Silver Spade is like part of my family. I mean, I grew up with it. I've been in charge of it now for many years. It's a real close attachment. And my job is to keep it operating as long as I can.
Until it shuts down, the Silver Spade will keep moving mountains, one scoop at a time. Machine of them all. It's a bucket wheel excavator of extreme proportions. The largest mining machine on Earth. This giant among giants gets its freewheeling thrills from unearthing coal hidden hundreds of feet beneath the soil. To do that, it's been designed with a giant wheel, suspended at the end of a colossal boom that's covered with huge buckets. As the wheel spins, the buckets scoop up the earth and pour it onto the machine's enormous conveyor. The soil is then dumped onto another series of conveyors that carry it to the other side of the mine. There, colossal spreaders dump the dirt back into the pit from where coal has already been mined. A bucket wheel excavator can shift soil with amazing efficiency. 320,000 cubic yards of dirt in a day. That's enough to fill a football stadium. The largest bucket wheel stands 32 stories, taller than the Statue of Liberty. Weighs 30 million pounds, almost 1.5 times the weight of the Eiffel Tower. And it is over 2 football fields long. This enormous machine sits on 12 crawlers. Each one is 10 feet tall, 12 feet wide, and 49 feet long. Anything less, and the machine would sink into the earth.
They are monster machines because they are so huge. Everything in our world nowadays gets tiny, micro. Our bucket wheel excavators, they are big and huge and large, whereas all the other things get smaller and smaller. They are the biggest earth-moving machine.
Remarkably, the bucket wheel is no big deal to handle. It only takes 5 men to operate. Like so many monster machines, this wonder wheel works around the clock, churning up the soil. Rainer Karger participated in the design of the machine and is now chairman of the company that builds them.
The amount of material you have to move is just mind-boggling, and these systems can do up to maybe 800, 900,000 short tons per day. And if they wanted to, they could bury a pyramid in a day.
And as the men who operate the machine know, when moving massive quantities of dirt, disaster is always only one bucketful away.
The main concerns with bucket wheel machines is to keep them on a stable footing. They're very high, they're very heavy, and they have to be kept stable. When they're moved, whether it's from pit to pit or just in the regular moving during the day, they have to be on very safe, secure ground, because they can get into trouble if they get into soft ground or if they become unstable or lose balance. If the biggest machine on the site is stuck, then there's nothing to pull it out.
Even getting a bucket wheel is an ordeal. It takes 5 years to build, 2.5 years to lay it out, and 2.5 years to put it together, at a cost of over $100 million.
Very often we look at drawings and you cannot really tell how big the thing is, and then you come out in the field again and then you say, oh geez, this is big. So sometimes we are surprised over and over again how big these things are, even though we have seen them many a times.
This machine spins its wheel in a mine in Hambach, Germany, just outside of Cologne. The mine covers 300 square miles and has 1,000 employees. It's a unique geologic region. The overburden here is made up entirely of loose gravel and sand, no heavy rocks or boulders. It's perfect soil for this monster excavator.
They look like dinosaurs that you watch from very far. You see them down in the pit, and it looks like they were grazing and eating. They are so huge and heavy, and they have the shape of a dinosaur as far as their size is concerned, and the way they work so slowly, as slowly as the dinosaurs must have moved.
As the bucket wheel excavators move across the German landscape following the huge coal seam, the mine moves entire towns out of the way. Freeways are shut down, rivers are rerouted. Nothing stands in the way of digging for the Earth's resources. This process continues day after day, year after year, as the enormous coal fields are mined. The Hambach mine opened in 1975, and the bucket wheels were built to last for the life of this mine.
Bucket wheel excavators work for decades. They work for 70 or 80 years even. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and this for 6 or 7 decades. So we retire much earlier than they do.
There's no way to deny that monster miners are so colossal, they dwarf our tiny human scale. But in the future, as our need for power grows, one thing is certain. The mining machines of tomorrow will be even more monstrous, even more massive, and they will, for sure, have even larger teeth.